welcome back to 1795, October the 7th. Actually, on the calendar, we are almost there. Tomorrow is October the 5th. And we are going for turn 8 of this playthrough, of this scenario. And we have now to define the commands of both fleets, and I've been setting up all the counters. I bought some new electronics boxes to put all the counters so we can sort them easier and have faster access. So as we have the Richery completely off, so we can use his command, group command, with a range of 5. So 1, 2, 3. This is in command as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's this 4 French ships, and the Duquesne is out of command. The Revolution is out of command. Taylor has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woohoo! So these 2 ships are in command. Both frigates out of command, and the Censor is out of command as well. Okay. Given that we've seen that, let's, before we roll for the wind, let's just review how the damage is. And we have the Victoire with 4 rigging damage and 3 on the hull. We have the French flagship with 5 rigging damage and 7 hull. Taylor in the Fortitude, 13 rigging damage and 5 on the hull. The Bedford is 4 on the rigging and 1 in the hull, and the Censor is 4 on the rigging. So let's put the counters back on my ship record sheet, so it's way easier to do it like this instead of leaving all the counters on the table. It's easier, it's just faster. You look at the record sheet and you have the boxes where you just put the stuff there next to the name of the ship, and you don't need to have all the clutter of and counter stacking. I've said it before, I really dislike counter stacking. Okay, so we have the commands decided. Let's roll for the wind. Okay, so 1, there's no change with the wind. Initiative, it's on the Brit side, and now we have a big problem. We have a very big problem, and Taylor has to think about this. The only thing, I mean, is reaching, and you would have 5 movement points. -4 would become 1, minus the calm seas becomes 0. can't simply go forward by using the one movement point, because he has to avoid collision. And can well, a ship with only one movement point, well, it has zero really. They only always have one. You can wear in place from reaching to running. So that's what Taylor's gonna do. He's gonna spend one movement point. Victoire is going to defensive fire into it. Actually, not the Victoire. It's going to be the Jupiter. That will the Barakan is inside the rake line and will exit it. Will probably rake. But first is the Jupiter that will defensive fire. And the Jupiter will blast into the hull. Okay, the Jupiter is a third rate, but given he has 7 hull hits, it adds 1 for the relative rate, so becomes a relative fourth. At a range of 1, it's 10 firepower. Audacity is 0, so at 0, he already fired the first broadside. And plus 1 from the carronades becomes 11. Let's put there so we don't forget. I like to mark this, especially when working with multiple values. So now we roll. A 1. Actually, this game has been lots of low rolls. So we rolled a 1, hitting the hull, and there's no wind. And how do you see that? It's regarding the wind is blowing to 3. So if you would be firing that direction. So it's basically just a 1. So 1 into the hull. At 11 we hit 1 rigging. Yep, we hit the rigging. So basically the broadside was on the up roll. Okay, so that was the defensive fire, and Taylor will respond, so it can't have more defensive. Well, it couldn't because he has no more movement points. So we have also a cloud of smoke there from the Fortitude that will fire into the hull of the Jupiter. So it's a third rate. At the 1 range it's 12. Plus 1 from the Audacity becomes a 13. It's firing first broadside from the starboard. Plus 2, it's a 15. plus 1, it's a 16. Plus 1 from the carronade. Okay, 16, and we are aiming at the hull. We rolled a 7. Plus 1 being British, aiming at the hull. The wind doesn't relate here, so aiming at the hull, we rolled an 8, and we go to the 16, so 6 hull. So the Jupiter had 7, you will go plus, forgot it, 8, 16, sorry. So 8, 16 is 5 hull, so 7 plus 5 is a 12 on the hull, plus there's a chance of fire. Wow, the Jupiter took a beating here. And there's a chance of fire. If I roll, was it equal or under? Or just under? I think it's equal or under. Just to confirm that, we're gonna roll already. So basically we did fire, we did 5 hull damage. So yeah, it's a 1. I know under is absolute. So the Jupiter caught fire. Okay, so the broadsides are resolved. And now we're gonna roll for both ships fired and made damage, so both commanders can be wounded. So I'm gonna roll. The blue is to affect Taylor and the red is to affect the Richai. Nothing, it's a 4 and a 0. It would be on a 9. Okay, both defensive fires done. And now the Bedford can move, and he has, so 5, minus 1 for rigging damage, minus 1 for calm, so it becomes a 3. So 1, 3, I can't rake, so I'll move 1, 2, I'm gonna fire into the Victor. Now I am going to aim high at the rigging. So it's a 3rd rate at 2 range. So 1, 2. It's a 9. Plus 1 from the Audacity. It's a 10. And from the carronades plus 1. It's 11. Oh, no, yeah, it's only 11. Actually, the carronade is cumulative, and I'm forgetting that. I'm just adding 1. Okay, just let it see fast. Okay, all these values, the plus ones, are all cumulative, and I've been forgetting that. So if I'm at 3 or less, I add plus 1, but then if I am at 1 or less, being Brit, I add plus 1 and plus 1, which will be plus 2. I forgot that, but, well, right now I won't. So we are at 11. 11. Okay. And we are aiming high on the upper roll. We rolled a 5. So a 5, firing against the wind, we are on a 6. But given the sea is, the wind is calm, we come down to a 4. So aiming at the rigging, a 4 to a 12. A 4 to 11, sorry. It's 3 rigging damage to the Victoire. So it goes up to 7 rigging damage. Which affects movement. Okay, I still have 1 movement point, which he will going to turn from reaching to running. Costs 1 movement point. Let's take our puff with us. Okay, so that's the British command group played, and it goes to the French. Now the French had, let me take the out of command there. Out of command. All these 4 ships. And we're gonna start with the Victoire. He has 4 movement points, -1 for calm winds, -2 for rigging damage. So it becomes a 1. We move forward and we fire into the Fortitude. And actually the Fortitude is making his name worth. Victoire will fire at the hull. No, fire at the rigging. Like good French, we want to stop him. Okay, we are 3rd rate at the range of 2. That's a 9. A 9, we are white shaded, so +1, it's a 10. We are firing the starboard side, we already fired it. So 10, and the carronade +1, it's a 11. And we are aiming high. The Victoire crew was waiting for this moment and rolls an 8. They were actually... Okay, we are Frenchies, firing at the rigging. From 8 becomes a 9. We are nor against nor with the wind. Keeps on the 9, but the sea is calm. So we subtract 2 to a 7. So rigging 7 to 11. It's 3 rigging, 1 hull. So 3 rigging, which means wait for it, 3 rigging, 1 hull. Right, I saw that well. 7, exactly, 3 rigging, one hull. So it goes up to 6 hull damage, and mainmast topples, is dismasted. It can be boarded, which is probably what. And the Victoire moved 1, fired, and moves 2, 3. Okay. Oh no, wait, we had 3, 1, 1. It was -2, -1. Yep, correct. We were already in the right spot. Sorry for that. Okay. Now the Barra will attempt to rake. He has 5 movement points, -1 for calm, and he will cross the rake line there completely and exit it. So let's attempt a rake. Let me find a table for that. Rake table. Okay. So it's we're going to try for the hull. Oh, and before that we got dismasted. Let's see if Taylor gets wounded. Nope. Okay, the Baha is going to attempt to rake. So we need a 4 or less. It's a stern rake, so it's a -2 with a +1 range to target. So -1. Commander quality is 1. Oh, we have no commander on the ship, so it's only a -1. 6 -1, it's a 5. We failed the rake. Doesn't matter. We move 1. We broadside into the hull of the Fortitude. Wow, the flagship is taking a beating. Let's see, it's a 3rd rate, range of 1, 12. 12, and it's the first broadside of the Baha starboard side. So we have a 12 plus 2, it's a 14, plus the carronade, plus 1, that's a 15. That's it. So we have a 15 to the hull. A 2. They were so focused on making the rake that most of the shots went awry. So 2 to the hull, and we are firing with the wind. Gets to a 3. So hull 3, 15. It's 4 hull damage. So it goes up to 10 hull damage on the Fortitude. Is a wreck at the moment. Let me just check something quick. I think it's 13. Wow, it's 11. Okay, the Baram moved 1. 2, 3, 4. And now the Berwick has also 4 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4. It can't rake because he has to exit the rake line, but it, oh, we have to see if Taylor got wounded. A 1, no. And the Berwick, yeah, it's masked by the, Jupiter, so he can't really fire. Okay, it's back to the Brits with the out of command ships. We have to see the sensor because he can eventually fire. The 4, no. Even with the Audacity. And the, well, I had to roll 0, 1 or 2 because the command, so I failed, but it can move normally, so he has a 4 and the sensor has a -1, so calm and rigging damage is -2, so we go 1 and 2. Okay, put out the out of command. We can't really, we won't fire at anyone. Back to the French. Sure, now the French actually pass. So the Brits continue to use their out of command ships. And the Lutin will go, and they have, he's going to spend accelerate because small ship, so +1. So he is on a 3, -1 for the calm seas. And he's going to fire into the Berwick and attempt a rake. And to hell with it. So it's a 4, a rake attempt. Audacity raking is -1, so 4 minus 1, it's a 3. That's okay. -2 if stern rake, go to 1. Minus commander qualities, it has no commander, and plus range to target from 1 becomes a 2. So a 2 means a rake is successful, and we are aiming at the hull. Okay, so we are a 5th rate. The range of 1, it's a 7. +1 from the Audacity, 7, it's 8. Carronade, 8 + 2, it's a 10. And the initial broadside from our starboard, from the Lutin, let me mark it, so we are on 7, +2, 9, +1, 10, +2, 12. Oh, if we could explode the Berwick would be awesome. All right, and our rake was successful. Oh, that was a good score. It's at 8. Let me put just a little puff on the frigate so we know she has shot. Just a tiny, tiny, weeny one. Actually, okay, we have an 8 and we have a 12 and we have a little puff. Pew pew. Okay. So the 8, aiming at the hull, we are British, becomes a 9. And we are not firing with or against the wind, really. Actually, yeah, we are firing with the wind, so what did we roll? We rolled an 8. So it's a 10. A 10 on 12 hull. Three hull, 1 rigging, but the rake was successful, and it's a stern rake, so the hull damage is doubled. So 6 hull, 1 rigging. It's pretty brutal. I mean, it can be. Okay, so the Baha suffered quite a bit, but there's no chance of fire nor anything, so he moved 1, 2, and that's pretty much the full extent of his movement, because it was 2 plus 1 of his speed minus 1 from the calm seas. Yeah, but he can spend 1 from making the wear from beating to reaching. Okay, back to the French. And the French will actually activate the revolution, the révolution, and see if the out of command is in command. Can actually activate everything as normal. So he is on a 4 movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was hoping to reach one of the frigates, but and now back to the British, and the Tisiphone has 4 movement, and he will activate the 5 plus 1 for small ships, minus 1 from calm sea, so he has a 4. So if he wears, it's minus 2, 1, 2. He can't rake. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so he moves 1, wears for 1, that's 2. 3 makes the turn, costs 0, and 4. And he's going to open fire into the Richerie. Oh, I can't. Wait. I have to roll. I was forgetting that. I'm out of command. I can't end the turn next to an enemy ship, nor I can fire if I don't start the turn next to an enemy ship. It's a 0. We can do that. So we were like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I like the 0 rolls now because it actually helped for what we had planned. And I like when a plan falls together. We won't be able to really rake there, but okay. It's gonna fire into the hull of the Jupiter. So it's the first broadside of the Tisiphone on the port side. So we are already at a 2. So we have to remember that. So it's a 6th rate, At range of 1 it's a 4. Plus 2 for the initial broadside, it's a 6. Audacity is 1, so it's a 7. And carronade, it's plus 2, it's a 9. It's probably the best the Corvette could ask for. And aiming at the hull, being British, it's against the wind, but it's a 5, not bad. We are British, firing at the hull. We had 1, it's a 6, but against the wind is -1, becomes a 5. So hull, a 5 on a 9. So 5 to a 9, it's 2 hull on the Jupiter. So let's just check, because the Jupiter has a lot of hull damage. So it was 2. It turns to the damaged side. And goes to 1 to the excess damage. So 1 hull damage. Is still on fire. Okay, and let's see if the Richelieu gets wounded. Nope. Okay, that was the Brits done. Now it's the Duquesne out of command. Let's roll to see if he is in command or not. No, he's not. So he can move, but can't end next to an enemy ship, nor he can fire. And he is running, so he has 4. -1, it has a 3. So 1, 2, 3, and it turns. Right. We ended all these this stuff. Okay, we need to do the ship status checks now. So first is the ship's fire. First the Jupiter. It's a 1. The fire is extinguished. Even with all they were taking a lot of shooting, the Jupiter managed to, the crew was attentive enough to put the fire out. Next, it's drifting from the ships that were already dismasted before. Now the striking. This can happen. The striking, I think the ships that are dismasted might strike. Right in the turn where they got dismasted. Okay, I was thinking the tailor could use the transfer only on the next turn, but he can use it now to transfer to another ship, and he would try to transfer to the Bedford. Successful transferred commanders move to the nearest friendly undamaged ship that is not on fire. Transfers may be attempted only when a ship holding a commander is activated. I can't do it right now, so it might actually strike with Taylor there. and it's not a good thing. Wow, if the flagship would surrender now, we would call it a day. I mean, if you think about it, all the other ships see Taylor striking the colors, they would just run away. I mean, we can play down to turn 10 and see how much damage we can still do, but wow, I'm a bit disappointed. But the focus fire of the French into the Fortitude was just too much, and it doesn't. The end is not particularly the same as we had when we played face to face. It was actually a bit different. The British tried to fight on wearing course and shooting at the rigging, but eventually they got caught up because you have to expend movement points to wear back and forth to attempt the firing, but it was different. Okay. If vulnerable during to be dismasted, the ship strikes on a modified roll of 6 or more. So for hull damage is 4, for rigging is a 6. So let's see if the Fortitude strikes. Oh, it's with the red. So we rolled a 7. Fleet Audacity rating becomes a 6. And Commander Quality becomes a 5. Well, 5 or less, there's no effect. Didn't strike the colors. What else? We have the sinkings and the remove the broadside markers, which I will do. And we are going to turn 9 next. Okay, now the frigates can be fired by the big ships because they got the nerve to open fire. It's not that it was unexpected, really, but yeah, 2 turns to the end, and we're gonna leave it to the next episode. We are 43 minutes in. So this was the decisive moment, and even if the Jupiter is really badly mauled, did we roll for the Richelieu from the Tisiphone? I think so. There's, it really depends on who wins the initiative next. And now, would we consider that the British fleet has bought enough time? Well, kind of. I mean, if you think that each turn is roughly 5 minutes, which is the average of to reload the broadside, don't come with the mythical 3 broadsides for every one. The average is 5 minutes, end of story, because you might fire the first 10 minutes every 2 minutes, but then you get exhausted, so sorry for that. The average is 5 minutes, so each turn being 5 minutes, and being that the scenario is like 1 hour 50 minutes, it wouldn't give time for the convoy to run away. The 74 gunners would just bear down on them. But regarding the specific squadron versus squadron, it is undeniable the French victory, as we can see now. But let's see, because it's still undecided. I mean, we have both flagships fighting there. Man, I have my doubts here. Anything might happen. So cheers, and if you want to comment or say anything, just leave it in the comment section or reach out to me. There's the email and everything, so we can play a game together on Vassal or tabletop sim or whatever, and even remotely. So cheers, have a good night, and see you on the next turns. Bye bye.